was strong. Very strong. The strongest so far.
In prison, Rambo is brought into a room for interrogation. The man knows Rambo is no stranger to pain, but he believes his methods will work. He ties Rambo to an iron frame and connects it to high-voltage wires. As they torture him, the lamps outside flicker, showing how much electricity is used. However, despite their efforts, they can't get Rambo to follow their orders. Realizing he won't give in, they need a new plan. The lieutenant colonel brings in his friend, Banks, and threatens to burn his eyes if Rambo doesn't speak. Seeing the fear in Banks's eyes, Rambo finally agrees to cooperate to save his friend's life. The enemy asks him to call his base and talks to them. Just as Rambo is about to comply, he notices his friend, Ko, moving underneath the shed. Rambo seizes the opportunity to tell his superior on the phone,
Murdoch, I'm coming to get you.
That he is coming to kill him and immediately attacks his captors. Ko shoots several rounds from below, taking out as many Vietnamese soldiers as she can. Rambo throws the man who tortured him onto the iron frame and surges high-voltage electricity through him. Rambo and Ko then head to the river and escape.
This way.
But there's something strange. Why is Rambo working with Ko, a Vietnamese woman, and why does he want to kill his superior? The answer lies in a few days earlier. Rambo wasn't in a Vietnamese prison of war. He was in a penal labor facility in America. He was arrested after going on a one-man rampage against a small-town sheriff and his deputies, causing major damage. As a Vietnam veteran suffering from PTSD, Rambo's actions led to property damage, injuries, and defiance of law enforcement, which led to his arrest. After serving 3 years in the state mines, Rambo is visited by his commanding officer from the Vietnam War, Colonel Sam.
How are you, Johnny?
Sam tells Rambo he still has 5 years left, but might be Rambo's only way out. He offers Rambo a special mission in Vietnam to locate prisoners of war.
Why now? Why me?
Rambo asks why he was chosen, and Sam explains that it's the same camp Rambo escaped from years ago. If Rambo succeeds, he will earn a presidential pardon. Rambo agrees, eager for revenge after the loss in Vietnam. Later, Rambo is taken to Thailand, where he meets Erickson, the helicopter pilot, and Murdoch, the head of the operation. Murdoch reads Rambo's file and is surprised by his records and awards. He tells Rambo that although the war is over, many soldiers are still missing, and their mission is to get proof that American soldiers are still alive. Their safe return is guaranteed after that. Murdoch says Rambo's job is to take pictures of the soldiers, not engage with the enemy. But Rambo, being a soldier, is confused. If he finds prisoners, he wants to rescue them. Murdoch explains that extraction will happen later, under Sam's command. He checks if Rambo understands, and Rambo agrees. Murdoch is relieved, knowing the mission is in good hands. Next, Sam prepares Rambo for his upcoming solo mission and tells him that the technological equipment will be his best allies. Sam takes Rambo to the communication room and shows him how advanced the U.S. military has become since Rambo went to prison. Murdoch tells him that these devices are better than any weapon and they will help keep him safe during the mission.
I've always believed that the mind is the best.
But Rambo reminds him that the human mind is the greatest weapon ever created. Then, they brief Rambo on his mission. Upon landing, Rambo is expected to meet with an indigenous agent named Ko, but Rambo doesn't pay attention. Murdoch worries that Rambo might still be mentally unstable after his time in Vietnam and questions if it's a good idea to send him back. However, Sam reassures him that Rambo is the best person for the job and won't stop until the mission is complete. Next, Rambo gathers all his equipment, including the new tools he has been given, and boards the helicopter to Vietnam. Before leaving, he tells Sam that he doesn't trust Murdoch and is only going on the mission because of him. After Rambo leaves, Sam asks Murdoch if Rambo will find anyone in what is thought to be an empty camp. Murdoch is doubtful, but says he's here because some people will be satisfied with their search. A few hours later, the helicopter reaches Vietnam, and Rambo prepares to jump into the forest. His partner, Lifer, helps him with the jump, but the rope gets tangled, leaving Rambo stuck. Hearing this, Murdoch orders the mission to be aborted, but Rambo manages to use his knife to cut away his equipment and free himself. He ejects his parachute and disappears from sight. In the morning, Murdoch decides to abort the mission because he believes no one could survive such a fall. However, Sam insists that they must wait for 36 hours to see if Rambo can complete the mission, and Murdoch reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, Rambo has survived and continues his mission. Using his experience, he navigates the dense jungle and finds his contact, Ko. At first, he thinks she's a Vietnamese soldier, but she calls him by name and explains who she is. She then takes him to the river where they rent a pirate boat to avoid being spotted by Vietnamese soldiers. Along the way, Rambo asks the captain what they will do if they encounter patrol boats, and the captain shows him a bazooka, saying he will blow them away. Rambo notices some Russian writing on the boat and realizes that Russia is helping the Vietnamese. As they continue, Rambo asks Ko how she got into this line of work.
My father worked for intelligence agency.
She tells him that her father worked for the intelligence agency, and after he died, she took his place. She adds that there is too much death in this life, and that she dreams of going to America for a peaceful life. Rambo tells her that he was chosen for this mission because he's expendable and no one cares about him. Meanwhile, back at the base, Sam asks Murdoch if he can go with the extraction team, and after some arguing, Murdoch agrees. Next, the boat reaches its destination, and Rambo and Ko continue their journey on foot. They soon arrive at the camp, and Ko tells him that it is empty, just as their intelligence had expected. But as they move closer, they spot a guard lighting a cigar. A female prostitute then enters the camp, and they realize that the camp is actually filled with Vietnamese soldiers. Rambo prepares his bow to infiltrate the camp, knowing it makes no noise. Ko warns him that his mission is only to take pictures, but Rambo tells her he no longer follows orders and leaves. Rambo moves stealthily through the camp to check for American soldiers. After searching, he finds the prisoners and sees that the rumors are true. The Americans are in terrible shape and most of them are sick. Rambo finds a soldier named Banks hanging on a cross and frees him. Then, they begin to move out of the camp, with Rambo silently killing anyone who spots them. However, Ko is caught by a Vietnamese soldier, but Rambo shoots him in the head with an arrow and rescues her. The trio then quietly leaves the jungle and heads to the boat. In the morning, one of the dead soldiers is discovered, and the Vietnamese launch an extensive search for the culprit. Meanwhile, Sam, Erickson, and Leifer head to the extraction point in the helicopter. Along the way, Banks tells them that the Vietnamese often move the prisoners, explaining why some camps are considered empty. The trio then reaches the pirate boat waiting for them and heads back to where they came from. On the way, Rambo notices a Vietnamese gunboat closing in on them. He realizes that the pirates have sold them out to the Vietnamese soldiers. Rambo quickly eliminates all the men on the boat and orders Ko and Banks to jump into the water as the gunboat begins firing at them. Amid the chaos, Rambo grabs the bazooka the captain had shown him earlier and destroys the gunboat. However, one of the pirates hiding on the roof grabs Rambo by the neck as the destroyed gunboat rushes toward their boat. Rambo uses his strength to pull out his knife and kills the man. He then jumps into the water just before the boats collide and explode. Next, the trio go through the jungle, and Rambo and Banks say goodbye to Ko as they need to head to the extraction point. Before parting, Ko tells Rambo that he is not expendable, and he nods in agreement. Rambo and Banks continue their journey to the extraction point, but are spotted by Vietnamese soldiers, led by Lieutenant Tay. Tay orders his men to launch mortar rounds at Rambo and Banks, but they successfully reach the extraction point without any harm. Sam arrives just in time and is surprised to see Rambo, who has rescued one prisoner. Leifer engages the Vietnamese soldiers while Sam reports to base that Rambo has found a prisoner. Everyone at the base is overjoyed except for Murdoch, who is angry that Rambo didn't follow orders. Murdoch forces everyone out of the radio room and orders Sam and Erickson to abandon Rambo and return to base. Sam wants to rescue Rambo, but Leifer points his gun at him and insists they must follow orders. Rambo, thinking he is being rescued, watches as the helicopter flies away from them. As soon as it leaves, Rambo and Banks are surrounded by Vietnamese soldiers and captured. Ko also witnesses Rambo and Banks being captured. Next, Sam returns to base and confronts Murdoch, who admits the mission was a hoax. The camp was supposed to be empty, and Rambo was only sent to confirm that so they could close the case. Murdoch explains that in order to secure their release, the United States would have had to invest significant resources or possibly even start another war, so any evidence of prisoners of war was intentionally ignored. Sam is furious with Murdoch and tells him that betraying Rambo might be the biggest mistake he's ever made because Rambo will come after him. Meanwhile, Rambo is submerged in pig excrement, his body covered in leeches. Soon, a Russian helicopter arrives, and Lieutenant Colonel Podovsky, along with his right-hand man Yushin, enters the scene. They take Rambo into an interrogation room, and the Russians take over. Podovsky orders Rambo to radio his base and tell them that he is captured, warning that any attempt to rescue him will result in his death. But Rambo refuses, and this is why he was being tortured at the beginning. Back at the camp, Ko arrives disguised as a prostitute and kills a few soldiers to position herself underneath Rambo's interrogation shade. While Rambo is being electrocuted repeatedly, Podofsky reads aloud the conversation between Murdoch and the helicopter crew, revealing that Murdoch had ordered the mission's termination. Podofsky taunts Rambo, telling him that he's been abandoned by his own country and should make the radio call. But Rambo refuses, and they bring Banks in to torture him. Eventually, Rambo agrees to call base and surprises everyone by telling Murdoch that he is coming for him. This is why Rambo was shouting at his superior in the beginning, saying he will kill him. With Ko's help, Rambo manages to escape the prison camp, but not before giving Yushin a taste of his own medicine. The Vietnamese and Russian soldiers chase after them for hours, but eventually give up and return to their camp. The next morning, Ko tends to Rambo's wounds, which he suffered during their escape. Rambo thanks her for returning to help him and tells her he is going back to America. Ko immediately asks him to take her with him, and they share an emotional kiss. But just as they are about to leave, they are discovered by Lieutenant Tay, who shoots Ko multiple times. Rambo is furious and returns fire, killing all of Tay's men. However, Tay manages to escape into the woods, leaving Rambo with Ko, who is on the brink of death. With her last breath, Ko tells him not to forget her, and she dies, leaving Rambo heartbroken. Meanwhile, Sam is once again asking Murdoch for another rescue mission. However, Murdoch orders his men to ensure that Sam never leaves the base. In response, Rambo forgets his plans to return to America and instead prepares for a large-scale revenge on the Vietnamese. He wears Ko's necklace to remind him of her and buries her in the jungle. As the manhunt for Rambo continues, the soldiers have no idea that they are the ones being hunted. Rambo moves through the jungle like a shadow, silently eliminating them one by one. He uses his knife and arrows to take out both Vietnamese and Russian soldiers. Using wild tactics like covering himself in mud or hiding underwater, he surprises and ambushes them. But his biggest trick is yet to come. He intentionally lets the soldiers see him, leading them into a village. There, he picks up several gasoline canisters and places them inside a sugarcane plantation field. The soldiers follow a blood trail, thinking it's Rambo's, but at the center of the field, they find the empty canisters and dead chickens, blood that Rambo used to trick them. Realizing they've been played, the soldiers are caught off guard. Rambo sets the field on fire and, using explosive arrowheads, detonates explosions that kill the soldiers he lured in. He then uses the same arrows to destroy the enemy vehicles. After inflicting heavy damage on the enemies, Rambo flees the scene but is caught by Tay, who opens fire on him from a distance. Tay finishes his ammo and switches to his handgun. Rambo realizes this is his chance for revenge and shoots Tay with an explosive arrow, causing his body to explode into pieces. However, Yushin starts chasing Rambo from his helicopter and drops a bomb on him. Rambo jumps into the water just in time, but the Russian soldier continues firing multiple rounds into the water. When he believes Rambo is dead and flies closer to the water, Rambo surprises him by jumping out and killing the Russian soldier. Once inside the helicopter, Rambo faces off in hand-to-hand combat with Yushin, who is much larger than him. However, Rambo uses Yushin's weight against him, throwing him out of the helicopter. The Russian pilot, fearing for his life, jumps out of the helicopter and Rambo takes over. Rambo then uses the helicopter to fly to the prisoner camp and destroys most of the Vietnamese soldiers. The American prisoners watch in awe as Rambo takes control of the camp, landing to rescue them. He then continues on foot, eliminating the remaining soldiers, and frees the Americans. Rambo leads them into the helicopter to fly them back to the base. The Americans are overjoyed, but Podofsky appears in his Russian war helicopter and starts launching missiles at them. Rambo can't shake him off, and his helicopter gets hit, forcing him to make an emergency landing. Podofsky believes it's over for the Americans and slowly flies closer to finish them off. But Rambo makes a swift move and fires a bazooka at Podofsky's helicopter. The aircraft instantly explodes, and the Americans are relieved to be saved once more. Rambo then flies the damaged helicopter back to the base and radios in, telling them that he's coming with all the American prisoners of war. Upon hearing this, everyone celebrates except for Murdoch, who hides in his office. Sam then orders the base to prepare to receive the soldiers, knowing Rambo's mission is a success. As soon as Rambo lands, he heads straight for Murdoch, landing a couple of blows on Erickson along the way. Rambo enters the communication room and destroys all the technological devices, proving that human lives matter more than machines. He then heads to Murdoch's office, stabs his knife right next to Murdoch, and tells him that there are more men out there. If Murdoch doesn't find them, Rambo will find him. Outside, the injured prisoners receive treatment, and Sam tells Rambo that he will receive a Medal of Honor for his actions. Rambo tells him to give it to the prisoners, as they are the real heroes. Sam then asks him to return to the military, but Rambo refuses, saying all his friends died here. Instead, he wants his country to honor soldiers like him who gave everything. Rambo then leaves the base alone, a one-man army, the same way he came. The end.